Hi guys, today we're tasting Pietro Zanoni's 2013 Amarone di Valpolicella DOCG, and so just some basics about the Amarone in general. First off, we're in northern Italy in the Veneto region, and specifically in the county of Verona, so yes, of Romeo and Juliet's fame. It's a beautiful region just north of the Adige River, and being a DOCG, there's some pretty strict rules, and we'll jump into that right away. First off, the grapes that are permitted in this wine are Corvina, Corvinone, and Rondinella are the main grapes. There's a couple of small percentage of about 3 or 4 other local autochthonous grapes which are allowed as well. Also, the wines must be dry farmed, or the grapes must be dry farmed, so no irrigation unless there's an emergency situation. What makes these wines really unique, though, is that after the grapes are harvested, before the fermentation, the grapes are dried on plastic or straw racks for roughly 120 days, concentrating the sugars, and the wines wind up losing roughly 30% or 40% of their water weight. When fermentation takes place, it's a long, slow fermentation at really low temperatures that can last up to 50 days. After the alcoholic fermentation, the wine must be aged a minimum of 2 years. It does not specify that it needs to be aged in oak, but just about everybody does up there. And last thing about the Amarone, these are typically dry wines, but they can sometimes have slight residual sugars, but they are rich and concentrated wines for fall and winter with lots of rich meals, heavy meat dishes as well. Let's talk specifically about the Zanoni winery. They're a real small 20-acre family winery located in a beautiful part of Valpolicella. They roughly produce about 2,000 cases annually, so about 25,000 bottles. And Pietro effectively does everything himself in his winery. And one of the more interesting things that I learned from my visit with him is how long he uses his smaller French oak barrels. He will continuously recondition them, and he's using them for at least 9 years, and some is even as long as 15 years. So with those basics, let's actually jump into the tasting. Just a quick look at the color here, you guys. Classic garnet red. Lots of concentration like you'd expect from an Amarone. Okay, you guys, we're here and we're tasting Pietro Zanoni's 2013 Amarone di Valpolicella. And so just to look at the bottle real quick. Again, this is a 2013. Most of the wines have been 2015 or 16 for the Amarones that I tasted in this period. But these guys are unique in that they hold their wines back a couple, 3 years more than the average producer up there. So the wines spend a fair amount more time bottle aging, which makes them unique and somewhat special. But let's jump into the tasting. So we've got the wine here in the glass, and right off the bat, it's got the most unique nose. It has, a little bit of the dried fruit, hints of the dried fruit that you expect in an Amarone. But what dominates is this earthiness. There's almost a champignon mushroom. There's this earthy kind of forest floor understory or dried humus, if you will, what the Italians call sottobosco, the underforest kind of aromas that you have in there. Really, really interesting on the nose. The fruit does come out, but it comes out a little bit later. And then you also get this spice, these kind of very, not sweet spice. You get these kind of aromatic herbs as well that will come out. But a fair amount of complexity on the nose. And then the sweetness on the nose, which you often get in the Amarone, comes out later. It's got just this kind of late entry, and it's just at the tail end, and it comes across almost honey-like. It's really, really unique. The wine's not sweet, but it just has this kind of almost honeysuckle aroma just coming out at the tail end. It's really an interesting wine on the nose, really unique. So let's taste it. So on the palate, it's big, it's soft, like like most Amarone, but it's dry. There's no residual sugar. It does not come across at all on the palate like you'd expect on the nose, and I don't really know why that is, but it's unique. It's, like I said, in a lot of ways, it's a very atypical Amarone. It's incredibly persistent. It sticks around for a while. It needs to be paired with rich foods. So when pairing this wine, being a little drier with some tannin, I still suggest big succulent flavors. Could be slow roasted meats or stewed meats. Could still be your holiday table, this wine, but because it has a little bit more of that earthiness, maybe the others that we tasted and kind of went through in the various tastings might be better for something like that, although this would work very well. You know, you've got your big turkey and ham and all the dressings and potato dishes and all sorts of casseroles and various things all over the table. The Amarone in general is a great wine for that type of a table. However, because of this earthiness and because of the uniqueness of this wine, I actually think this wine would pair phenomenally with some truffle pastas, you know, various types of wild mushrooms on pasta, or various types of dishes, you know, especially meat dishes prepared with either truffle or wild mushrooms. It's a really, really unique wine, and especially because it's had that, you know, 3-year bottle aging, it's kind of like they've done a little bit of the cellaring for you, which I always appreciate, because I like these wines that have aged just a little bit. But wonderful, wonderful Amarone, just a little bit more of a unique take on an Amarone. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do. Love this wine, and that's all. You guys, thank you.